Hi everyone, Happy New Year, Happy 2024. And we have a very special postcard today, once in a year. I'm Mario, here with me is Wooper.
Hello.
So the special occasion is the anime of 2023.
Yeah, the top 10. The big one.
Yep.
Well, not the big one, the big 10.
That's right. So basically we just going through our 10 shows with a few honorable mentions. And just a question for you first. How do you feel about 2023 in anime as a whole?
Well, I can only really speak for myself.
Yep.
So this year, doing a quick uh, anime, list check. I remember last year when you asked me a similar question about 2022, I said, this year I've only seen 20 series.
Yep.
Typically, I watch about 30. This year I've only seen 20, is what I
Yep.
said in last year. Now I'm down to 16.
Right. Yeah.
And so I figure that's going to be about where I land for the foreseeable future because we usually
Mm.
discuss like 9 anime throughout the course of the year in detail,
Yep.
and then that leaves me with another 7ish to watch on
Yep.
my own, and that's
Yep. Yep.
about as much as I'm willing to do. So that
Mm.
doesn't mean that anime has changed. That means I've changed. Um,
We're getting old.
well, that's true, but
I
I just really don't have a good answer to how do you feel about anime from this year. I feel that I am a little different.
Yep. Yep. Well, I remember that we had a conversation like a few weeks or even a few months before. We doing this postcard, and I told Wooper that I try to like at least watch 10 shows. So
Right.
that's how low we have gotten. I ended up finish around 20 shows. So I feeling good on my part just because that I got up to 20.
Yeah. It's a
But
nice multiple of 10. Feels good to hit that number.
yeah.
I could not do it. Like for some shows, for example, The Fire Hunter, Hikari no
Yeah.
O,
Mm,
I had just 4 episodes left to watch. It's a 10 episode first season. The second season actually starts in just a few days here
yeah.
because it's a winter 2024 series. But as for the first season, I had seen six
Yeah.
episodes, and I
Mm,
was like, "Well, I'll just knock out the last four, no problem. That'll be something I can say I've finished."
yeah.
I couldn't do it. I watched episode 7, and I was like, I give up. I just would rather spend my time doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't just watch things just because I want to finish them anymore. It's not that I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Um, I am busy, but I'm not so busy that I couldn't if I wanted to. I just don't feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the feeling, but so that's normal.
That's what it's like to be in your 30s and still be an anime fan. Well, for us at least. There are probably people who are 30 years old and watch 30 shows a season somewhere in the world.
Who might listen to the podcast as well.
I don't, well, yeah, I don't think so. If they watch 30 shows per season, then that's probably all they have time for. Wake up,
Yeah.
watch anime, go to sleep.
Or maybe they get paid to doing that. So that
Yeah, that's
good
true.
on them. Um, do you notice any trend that the anime industry doing this last year,
You talking about like
2023?
movie length premieres and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking that as well. Yes.
Yeah. Ooku, Frieren, Oshinoko. Those
Yeah.
are the three that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know if I would call that a trend though, because that's out of like hundreds of shows, and that's three.
Wow. But before this year, we only have like something like double length, and this time it just go like way into like we have to watch like 90 minutes of a premiere to to get like the start of it.
Right. I think did Vinland Saga air its first three episodes all at once
Yeah,
a few years
I think
ago?
it's like two or three. Yes, but you're on track. Yes, that's
Yeah,
it. Yes, and then it's have like 2 or 3 weeks. Not airing
off.
anything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Oh man, I was so optimistic about Vinland Saga. When it aired those first three episodes back in 2019, I was like, this is fantastic, dude.
It was
Then you
fantastic.
know, then
All right.
the rest wasn't as good. I'll say.
All right, one
Um,
spoiler alert as well is that we try to predict each other's top 10 list. We got that on, like on we got that list without any of us watching, and we're gonna reveal whether or not we are on track or not. This year, I'm not confident of Wooper choice at all.
yeah, I've kept information about my anime watching habits shrouded in secrecy. Also, I've seen a lot fewer shows,
Yeah,
so the target for you to hit is narrower in the first place.
that's right. So I did put Vinland Sagas on your top 10 list.
Okay,
Let's
we'll
see if
see.
I
We'll see if you hit the nail on the head there.
yeah, that's right. And I also noticed that this is a great year for all the manga adaptation, because I look at my top 10, and it seems like most of my top 10 are manga based.
Hmm. Let me see. I'm scrolling through mine
Interesting,
right
hey.
now. I've got one, two, three. Three of my shows are originals, so seven are based on manga
Wow,
in my top
wow,
10.
jeez, I
Why are
don't
you
have
saying
any.
wow? Is that too high or too low or
Not too high, because
too high? Okay, interesting.
if I put my top 15, I think I only got like two more originals on my list. It's not a great year for originals at all for me.
I would
But
I
you
would say
you
I
you might be different on
agree.
that. Yeah,
I think I agree.
agree.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
because in the past, for example, we've had stuff like Sunny Boy, 2021, Sunny
Yep.
Boy, Dynazenon, Wonder Egg Priority. Uh, that was like
Yep.
original shows were coming
Or
out of the
even
woodwork
like
that year.
you could argue for like Monogatari is an original
Oh,
in
no,
some.
I would consider it to be one, yeah. And that's true. That was the same year.
Yep. Yep. Or Taxi as well.
Oh my God, yeah. Wow, that really
So yeah.
was. I knew 2021 was sticking in my mind as a big year for original series for some reason or another. But even
Yep.
last year, Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
Yep. True. Yep.
that was a
Well,
major.
it actually based on the games, but
Yeah, but
so
Heike
the
Monogatari is based on the tale of the Heike.
yeah, that's true. Yep. Yep. It's the
Do
origin,
Do It Yourself was also last year. That was a big favorite of mine. That's not based on any source material,
that's right. Yep.
and probably more. Yeah, but this year, I wouldn't struggle to name them because they're on a Word doc right in front of me.
Yep.
But it did
Hmm.
seem to be a bigger year for adaptations. And also, speaking of trends, there was also a trend of movies being produced and then split into multiple chunks for streaming services.
That
We
is
had an
true.
example of that
Yep.
last year with the Tatami Time Machine Blues.
Yep. Yep.
This year, there was also, I mean, this wasn't an example of a quote unquote movie for a streaming service because it was in theaters, but there was the Kaguya-sama film, which was basically just four episodes of Kaguya-sama.
Yep. All right. Hmm.
Um, there was the new Hinotori movie from Studio 4C, the Phoenix
Uh.
adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yep.
Um, that was an actual film that was just like broken up into parts the way that Tatami Time Machine Blues was.
Hmm.
And the two-part conclusion to Attack on Titan
Yep. Yep.
was, I mean, those were aired as a pair of TV specials 6 months apart, but when you actually watch them, the structure of them is they're split into episodes. um,
Yeah.
so I
I
feel
think
as
they.
though like the idea that TV anime or anime in general have to be produced either as films or as 12 or 24 episode series is kind of like that wall is being broken down and stuff is just being made for different platforms in different ways, which, as far
Yep.
as I'm concerned, is a good thing. There should just be more freedom there.
Yep. In the same wavelength, we have like many movies that function as like a part of a like a big movie franchise. So we got like something like Principles, where like the six movies coming out, which like it just like meet the rest. It just like got no introduction, no conclusion. It's just like a part of a uh, basically a feature length episodes. Go Panzer as well, something along that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, I've still when stuff like that happens, like I still have not watched the first of the six Girls und Panzer
Yeah.
movies.
Hmm.
I've seen the Girls und Panzer movie, which was a sequel to the
The
2012
series.
anime. So
Yeah.
the I saw like the first movie, but then after they made that movie, which I think was called Girls und Panzer Der Film or something like
Yeah.
that, then
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
making the six-part thing, and I still have not even watched the first one because I want to wait until all six of them are out, and who knows when that'll happen. I think
Yeah.
they've done four at this
I I
point.
I I think it's a wise choice for you. I watched like three films of Principles, and basically, I would rather wait for the whole thing to come out.
Yeah, because they tell
It
a continuous story, don't they?
that's right. It's build the story on top of each other.
Right. Yeah, it's like a huge TV season, like a
That's true. Yep.
24 episode season of TV, perhaps in terms of total length.
That's right. So that's just a new way, just a new format. They going with that for now. But
Yeah.
yeah, we can go back to 2023.
Go back to. Oh, I guess we are in 2024 now, so we are going
yeah,
back.
yeah, going back to these top 10 anime of the year. But first, we can give the two. Maybe we just give briefly about what eligible for our top 10 list, shall we?
What's eligible? So shows that started in 2023, right?
Yeah, that air during 2023. It's
No, I
more
thought
correct, I think.
specifically it was shows that started
Yeah,
that year. Like for
that's
example, Frieren won't be eligible next year.
that's right. Yep, yep, yep. That's true. In the case of something like Golden Kamuy, who started last year, but I think half of the show was like was delayed until this year.
Yeah,
Um, I put that as eligible for this year as well.
but it isn't.
Come on.
I mean, it's your list. You can do whatever you want. But when I was
Yeah,
trying to predict your list, I of course thought of Golden Kamuy, and then I remembered
yeah,
there was an episode director, right, who passed away in
yeah. Which
2022.
we still don't know about
Like his
them yet.
identity.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's so
Japan is
weird.
big on privacy.
Yep,
Like people's faces are always blurred out in photos, and a lot of people don't use a picture of themselves as their profile online
yep.
and stuff. It's just a different way of doing things. But yeah, I thought, oh, Golden Kamuy aired this year, didn't it? So I went back and I saw that not only had it started in 2022, but when they started the rebroadcasted episodes were also in 2022. So I was like, okay, that clinches it. There's
Hmm.
even if you think of it as beginning airing from the time that it reset, it still started 2 years ago.
All right. Well,
But if you've got it on your list, then you don't have to like rearrange anything.
yeah, bad luck for you because I got it on my list. And one of another eligibility that I want to mention is the pen of it to decide if a show is anime enough or not. So I'm thinking of Scott Pilgrim takes off
Right. Yeah, I think
because
the two of us had a conversation about it and we both agreed that
that's
it
right.
wasn't anime.
Yeah, that's right.
So that would make it ineligible.
That that's right as well, and that's one of the reason why it is on one of my honorable mentions.
I
So
figured that
we
you'd I figured that out. I figured you'd put it there.
damn damn. All right, so yeah, as I just said, Scott Pilgrim Test Off is one of my honorable mentions. So we decided that because it target uh, the Western audience, the original fan audience of Pilgrim versus the world, and it got like the same that voice actor as well. We dis I decided that it's not it's not going to be eligible for this list. Otherwise, I I read the comic. I just want to mention that spoiler a bit of spoiler alerts. It's not a remake, but it's rather a retelling. And
Not even really that, right? It diverges after a single episode
that's
because
right. That's right.
something different happens to a particular character, and then it can tell
That's right.
stories about like different kinds of stories as a result of that divergence.
That exactly it. Also read the comic alongside with watching this, so I would say that I got the best experience out of it. I consider the original comic is silly fun, but not that depth. So this version is a welcome chance because it gives different perspective, especially to Ramuna, who like become a central focus for this season. So I I I really enjoy Scott Project Off. I think otherwise I put that on my list, it would be comfortably sit on my top 10 out of 5, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I did watch the 2010 Edgar Wright film recently.
All right. Yep.
I read the
Yep. Yep.
comics ages and ages ago, at least 10 years ago,
Yep.
but only just recently that I watched the movie because I planned, like as a refresher,
Yep.
because I planned to watch the series. That didn't end up happening. I spent my time, even though I hardly watch any anime compared
Yep.
to the amount that I used to watch, I still spent my
Yep.
free time doing that rather than watching, you know, the Scott
Mm-hmm.
Pilgrim thing. But I did watch the movie and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I'll probably
man.
enjoy the Scott Pilgrim like miniseries. Takes off.
Yep.
But I will say that when the PV for it came out, I hated the compositing so much. So I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to get past. I'm gonna have to like grit my teeth through the first episode and get accustomed to it.
Right. Yeah.
Eventually, I'm sure it'll like fade into the background of my mind, though.
Yeah, it was never a problem with me though, so I'm good. And even the movies, I just love the first 10 minutes, like the introduction of the film so much. I feel the movies is a bit rushed when it comes to to later event and the ending. But that was me talking. I I watched the films probably 10 years now, so my impression of it might be a bit off now.
Yeah, yeah. We went through the franchise, I guess, in opposite. We took opposite
On
paths,
that. Yeah, yeah,
but all roads lead to Scott Pilgrim takes off at this point. So
cool.
I'll get
That's
around to
right.
it eventually.
Yeah.
Seems like a
All
good
right.
honorable mention, since there is a lot of like discussion and debate over whether it counts as anime. Ultimately, the important thing is whether you felt like it was a good use of your time and whether you got anything out of it. So if you did, then to mention it here makes sense.
Yep. All right. How about you? What is your first one?
Sure. So I actually alluded to it earlier. It is one
Mm,
of the movie slash series. Um,
Attack on Titan?
no,
All right. Go on.
Hinotori Eren no Sora, or
Wow. Yep.
Phoenix Eden 17.
Yep.
This is you know what it reminds me of? It's this year's Devilman Crybaby, in that it
Right.
takes like a classic manga and modernizes it to the point that it's almost unrecognizable. Like for
Mm,
example, if somebody had read the original comic and then they watched this, they'd be like, "How did you get from there all the way to here?"
mm,
Um, it's very very modern looking. The designs are not Tezuka inspired at all.
mm,
It what it just does is it takes the story of the nostalgia chapter of Hinotori, Tezuka's
mm,
manga, and it like heavily modernizes it. There's a lot of integrated like 3D animation, most of which
mm,
looks pretty darn good.
right.
A lot of it involving like asteroids and spaceships, and trying to create scenes using objects in space and objects that are like hovering above the ground or flying in a way that makes it like the series mission statement to make something new, something that
Yeah.
belongs in 2023. It's like it's not afraid. The same way that Devilman Crybaby put the rappers in,
Yeah.
into a Devilman adaptation and had people doing crazy Yuasa running sequences with like,
Yeah.
elongated limbs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that,
Mhm.
basically. The like philosophy behind the creation of this movie, and it also skips through the event. To be clear, I have not read Phoenix. But there is a 1,300-year time skip between the first and second episodes of this
Wow.
four-part series. Um, and you get the sense while watching it that it is blazing through the material, just like ruthlessly cutting through it to arrive at the end in time, which I think has made a lot of people who watched it like disappointed with it, or if they
Mhm.
hadn't read the manga and had no basis for comparison, they might be confused even then. But I kind of liked the end result. I liked how fast it was and how conceptual it was. Like the movie was primarily interested in getting across the general shape of the nostalgia arc, and also like highlighting as many ideas that Tezuka introduced as possible, and making it less story oriented and less character oriented. I thought the animation was pretty cool. There were a few action scenes. The ones that were included looked pretty good. Um, and there were a lot of interesting sci-fi concepts. The ending, specifically like the last few minutes, which are there have been a bunch of different Phoenix adaptations. The three that I'm most fond of are the ones from the 80s. The Karma arc, the Yamato arc, and the Uchu arc. All three of those got movies, or one was a movie and two were movie length OVAs, I think. Um, so in each of them, the Phoenix shows up and it's drawn and it's animated slightly differently in all three. In this one, you get by far the best, most luscious, most beautiful animation of the Phoenix, of Tezuka's Phoenix in history thus far.
Mm.
It's really amazing. And then there's as you see it flying through space, like a children's choir starts to sing, and then the credits start to roll. It's really a fantastic like way to close it out. So ending was pretty strong. My only complaint is that the child actor that they got to play Colm, who is
Mm.
a green-haired alien who moves a spaceship around with telekinesis, and is thus a fairly important character. The child actor stinks. She's terrible. But that's really my only gripe with the movie. I mean, I really enjoyed the rest of it, so I thought I would bring it up here.
All right. Good on you. Good on you. I'll be sure to check out Phoenix. I think I even haven't check out the original series back into 2004. So
Really, you haven't seen any of it?
I haven't seen any of it. I know about it, but
Okay.
I
It's
think
it's it's a pretty good starting point. I would recommend the 2004 series as a starting point. But the animated of all the animated versions of Phoenix, I would say the masterpiece is Karma Chapter from the 80s.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the you know the one that most people will point to and say best
Yeah.
Tezuka adaptation.
Hmm. So good. I'm planning to do it all in one chunk. So starting with
Oh
the
my,
series, and just go like one by one. I think that's good. That would be an experience.
could be, yeah. Sounds like it might be fun, or you
Yeah,
might get a massive headache.
that's true. But because it tell different story each time, so
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
it would be fun just just to see like how different the adaptation is. Yeah, and like which story uh take the premise better than the others.
Yeah, this one, Ada no Sora, which came out last year, is if you're going to be comparing them and seeing how they handle the material in different ways, this one is by far the most different. This is like it
Mm,
was the director's mission to uh, like go
modernize
against the
it.
grain, basically,
Yep.
to make it
Yep.
his own.
That's so good.
Personally, I found it to be a success, but opinions have been mixed, to say the least.
Yep. All right, I guess to my second honorable mention, and this one I was debating whether or not I put that in my top 10 or like doing it at a time with my 10th show because these two shows are very different and like the strength and the issues are totally opposite as well. But I just go for like the more conventional route and like just you doing a normal top 10 and this one sit out on the top 10 and that show was Oku.
Okay.
uh it's yeah, we have mentioned that in our podcast before and I really like the idea behind that. It featured an alternative histories. It had like the gender politic by swapping the role of the male and females. They have like many intriguing characters that that was spending time for. I still remember Arikoto the monk and many other characters. But like we also mentioned, the production is start falling apart. Like by doing that for Netflix, by having to finish them, like work all in one chunk. I think it hurt the show. If had more time to be more polished, it would be it would for sure be a better show.
You got anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it, Wooper.
I mean, I don't think that something being produced for Netflix or TV or whatever, they get the schedule that they get.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah,
so I mean, I from the very beginning, I don't think that Oku was a very good looking show.
yeah.
Um, it's more about the fact that such an amazing manga, apparently. Of course, having only like read 10 manga in my entire life, this is another one that I have not seen, but it's the sort of series that's won all the awards,
Yeah.
and just the opportunity for it to get an adaptation of any kind is something that they probably grabbed with both hands. Even if they were told the turnaround time on this is real fast, you're not, we're not going to be shelling out a whole bunch of money for staff. You're going to have to make do with whatever team you can scrounge up. Yeah, they did their best, I guess. It doesn't look great, but
Yeah.
it was, educational. Um, it
For
was
for an
thoughtful,
alternative history, yes.
right? Yeah, educational in a sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed Oku.
I enjoy good too, but yeah.
Well, you don't enjoy Oku 2 or Oku 10. You maybe enjoy it 11,
Yeah.
being that it's an honorable mention.
All right. What about yours?
Okay, so my other honorable mention is Hibike Euphonium Ensemble Contest,
Wow. Right.
the recent Hibike Euphonium OVA, which is going to lead into season 3, which will be premiering in the spring of 2024.
Yeah.
I like the OVA a lot. It was subbed by somebody on Nya named Ray,
Mm-hmm.
and I downloaded the subs and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Because they, whenever a character speaks, their name is in parentheses in front of the
All
in front
right.
of the text, and then whenever there's like birds chirping or instruments playing or like background noise of any kind, that also is subtitled. It's like closed caption subtitles basically, but not formatted like closed captions. This guy just decided that was how he was going to do it. Anyway, I was like, oh, I'm not watching this if that's how they did it. But then somebody posted in the comments underneath, yeah, here's some fixed subtitles that doesn't have all that crap in it. And I downloaded them and, renamed it, put it in the same folder, started it up, and it was perfect. So then I could actually watch it. And what I found when I watched it was It's got Kumiko as a like a late second year stepping up to take over the concert band club. She's the president
Oh,
at this
she's the
point.
president.
Yeah. I
Wow.
think at the end of movie 3, Chikai no finale, that it's difficult to tell because there are like multiple years between Hibike Euphonium shows and movies. So unless you do like regular rewatches or look it up on Wikipedia, it's hard to remember the timeline.
All right.
Um,
I think it's pretty straightforward actually because I remember like the first season of Cell Euphoniums is when they in the first year, and then
right.
the second one is when they probably get into the second years. But
Yep.
and then the movie happens. And have you watched the movie yet?
Yeah,
You
I've seen
still
the
should
movie.
have it. And then it's when they actually go to like the third year, like the first of third year, or it's the one in between. So that was I was a bit confused.
Yeah, that's what
About
I
this,
mean.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're at the time of this OVA that I'm talking about here, we're still not in the third year.
All right.
Uh, so that means the second season 2 did not cover all of Kumiko's second year.
All
But
right.
I don't
Yeah.
remember whether it covered all of Kumiko's second year, and this OVA is supposed to slot somewhere in the middle. Like it's just hard to
Yep.
remember all the exact details.
All right. Yep.
But the plot of this OVA is basically that she has become the president of the club, and there are still some third years who are there at school, but they're not participating in the club anymore because
Yep.
they're that's a big thing in Japan. Like
Yep.
you kind of drop out of your clubs midway through your third year so you can study for entrance exams for college.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So that's what's happening here, and Kumiko has stepped up to take responsibility. And there's like this little miniature contest where all the members of the club split off into their own like quartets, octets, like their own little groups, and they get to
Mhm.
choose what piece they want to do, and they arrange it themselves and perform it themselves.
All right.
And the all the people who come to see it get to vote on like which group they think does the best job.
All
So
right.
it's like pitting different members of the concert band against one another,
Mm-hmm.
but also all of them cooperating to, uh, I don't know, put on the best performance that they can. So she has to like Kumiko. That's Kumiko's first big test as president. She has to manage all that. And I just think the movie does a nice job of balancing like her friendship with the 3 other girls. You get to see them walking home from school to the train station, and like having fun together and bantering with each other and encouraging each other to like do their best at this performance and talking about what their third year is going to be like. You get scenes like that, and you also get to see scenes of Kumiko like resolving conflicts between members of these different groups and it being encouraging to first years. For example, there's a marimba player who's having a hard time keeping tempo,
Mm-hmm.
and Kumiko like she gives her a pointer like you have don't just try to be on beat all the time because you have to take into account that people who are playing like brass instruments and woodwind instruments need to breathe. So you have to leave space for them to breathe when you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of becomes a mentor to this girl a little bit in the process. So that's nice. I just think it was a really, and of course the production is great as well. So it was a nice way to settle back into the universe of this show, to prepare for season 3 next year, or I should say this year. Now that we're in
Yep.
2024,
Wow.
those are
Damn.
my honorable mentions. I really don't like doing series for honorable mentions,
Yeah.
so I picked these two,
Yeah.
and there was a bunch of other stuff that I could have done as well because this year, if it had any strengths, it was probably like non-series
Yep. I
non-series stuff.
I just want to mention something like non anime related, but um, back when I was, like when I was visiting Japan, it was when they first aired the first season of the first and second season of Cell Euphonium. Uh, and it was massively popular in Japan, in Kyoto at the time. So I actually walked up to the hill where Kumiko and the other girls
Reina.
used to walk up there, Reina, and
Yeah, from season 1, episode 8, where
yep,
they hike
yep,
up the stairs to the mountain or whatever.
yeah, that's the one. It's a really uh brief walk. It just take you, like half an hour, 40 minutes. But I was walking, like in the dark. There was no light at all. So just me and myself, and maybe just some ghosts beside me, walking up there, uh, and to enjoy it. Like the way that like this is where Kumiko and the girls sit and talk, and they have that special moment. It just feel great. So I took a pictures, and I like just enjoy that moment there.
Yeah. You went on an anime pilgrimage.
That's true, that's true. I even like visited one of the Kyo anime studio back then.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, it wasn't the one that got burned out though. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well, I mean, this OVA signals that they're continuing their comeback after the arson. So
that's good.
that's also,
Yeah,
speaking of
that's
encouragement, that's also an
yeah.
encouraging sign. And we're
Hmm.
going to get more in 2024.
Yep, yep. All right, so let's see, after half an hour, now we get into our actual top 10.
Right.
Are you ready? Are you ready, listeners? Let's
They
go
better be.
to let's go to my 10. So my 10 show, as I mentioned, is have the opposite strengths and issues with Oku. So this one is Oshinoko.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Oshinoko, I think this is the show that people love to hate, or people just really love it.
Yeah, people just really love it.
We had some revelation about it, but I still think that Oshinoko is it is still why watch. It explore the dark side of the entertainment industry, but it also questioning the line between the version that you put up for the people around you, and versus whatever constitute constitute your true self. The production is often very gorgeous. We had some issue with that. That being, it critic the dark side of the idol industry, but at the same time, riding on it. We have like the main characters who basically a saving grace for all of the other girls, and who get into still riding on in the middle of the idol shows, have the talent, all of that. But all in all, I still think that I gain a bit more, like watching about the idol industry, watching these shows. And I think the dark negative attitude it has for the for the entertainment industry in Japan still uh like still spot on in some cases. So yep, this is my number 10 show of the year, Oshinoko.
Yeah, I'm very surprised by this.
Yeah, I've been considering between Oshinoko and Oku at number 10, and I ended up putting Oshinoko in there.
um, all right. Yeah, I mean, I can't exactly say that they have opposite problems. I guess so. I mean,
Yeah,
personally,
I
I
I
didn't think Oshinoko was all that visually. Um,
uh all right.
but I mean, certainly it's a like a stronger, more consistent.
Mhm.
It's got a stronger and more consistent look to it than Oku does. But where they are opposites for sure is in the writing.
Yep.
Oshinoko is not. It's just not a show I could take seriously on any topic, be it the supposed dark side of the idol industry or
Yeah.
whatever.
All right.
To me, it's just like a silly teen uh, romance.
Thanks. All right.
Yeah.
And even I think even it opposite in the topic as well, because Oku is about histories, and Oshinoko is about like current affairs.
Yeah. One is about the past, one is about the present and future, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I did not predict that at all.
All right. All
In
right,
fact,
good
I
on me.
predicted that you would put Oku in your top 10.
Yeah,
Um, but that didn't end up happening. Yeah, Oshinoko, I remember saying I'm probably not going to watch season 2 of this. But I also did like my big takeaway from it, I guess, was that it's kind of fun to watch.
yeah.
Because it is very, even though it's telling stories about how like an, a girl who's on a dating show like is pressured into committing suicide, and one of the main characters like stops her at the last second. I don't know if you remember this. It's like raining outside,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't remember any of the characters' names. I remember their hair colors. I think this girl has like greenish hair or something,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
she's like, "Oh no, everybody hates me because I said something
All
that
right.
they took negatively, and now it's time to end my life."
Her name,
Stuff like that's going on. I just
yeah.
I
Her
can't get
name
with
is
it.
Akane.
Akane, okay. Wait, Akane. I mean, I can picture who Akane is. I didn't think that was the same girl.
All right. Uh,
I thought Akane was like the child actor who had been doing it for a long, long time, who had been acting for a long, long time, and always struggled like
that's
to
the red hair girl. That's Kana.
Kana. Okay, yep, yeah. You can see. So I'm wrong on that one. You can see that my memory of the show is not that strong. But my big takeaway was that it was kind of fun. It was kind of like junk food. You can just watch it and um, be like, oh, what's gonna happen next? What like juicy plot development is gonna come next? So
Yeah,
in that sense, I you know can appreciate it in that sense, I guess.
yeah. All
All
right.
right. Well,
What is
starting
your
starting off with a missed prediction from me, but so I'll go ahead and do my number 10 if that's all right, and we'll
yeah?
see if you start things off with a bullseye.
Oh well, I think that's always the case. I just want to say that always the case that we got like the first few, like lower the lower top tens wrong, but we got like all the top one right. So
Oh
this is
yeah,
always the
as you
case.
would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Um, my coming in last at number
Yeah.
10 is Yamada-kun to Reburu 999 no Koi wo Suru,
All right. Yeah.
or Falling for Yamada at level 999.
Yep. Yep.
It's another Morio Asaka Madhouse shoujo series. I've historically liked those in the past, and of course, he's not in Nana mode or Chihaya Furu mode here, where this is clearly a step down from like all time series like that. But it is fun. It is a romance series with a college age protagonist, which is
Mhm.
nice because you don't get a lot of those in anime. Um, and it's also gaming themed, which is a significant part of the show, I guess, in that it's the reason for a lot of characters to meet up, even in real life.
Mhm.
But it's not such a significant part that it like becomes. It does the same thing that Netju no Musume or Susume. I can't remember the title of it.
Suzume. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Do you know what
which
I'm
one you
you know what
mean.
I'm talking
Yeah, yeah,
about?
yeah.
Yeah, I would say this show is a little bit stronger than that one, especially in its resolution, because this show just has a very ordinary conclusion to it.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the guy realizes that he likes the girl after she's come to a similar realization herself and like put out some signs. And the main male character is he's very tall and handsome. I mean, at least the show says he's handsome. I don't think of him as being like a bishonen type character, but everyone in the series remarks on how handsome he is. So I guess he is. Um, and his whole thing is he has no clue about women or romance or anything like that, and he says some stuff that makes you think he may be on some sort of spectrum somewhere. He says that sometimes he doesn't know how to read people's emotions. He doesn't understand when they're joking. Um, so slowly he warms up to Akane, who's the female lead, and some of the other
Akane.
characters as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, the so Yamada is the name of the male lead. He's the one
yeah.
whose name is in the title. And in addition to so his arc of becoming a little bit more sensitive to how other people are, thinking, feeling is nice. It's okay, but I would say the strongest part of the show is the female lead. She's just very fun. She gets
Mm,
drunk at a couple points in the series, and she's just like a very happy, bubbly drunk. She's content to act as like a friend and a mentor to one of the other characters' little sisters.
mm-hmm.
Um, so that's a nice relationship between the two of them. And she's the fact that she's so clueless about gaming, but really tries her best to understand and fails almost every time is endearing. I think it's just a fun little rom com. It's pretty fluffy, inconsequential, and there are some bad episodes. Like there's one where she gets set up on a date with some guy, and he won't leave her alone, and so she goes into the women's bathroom to hide, and the guy goes into the women's bathroom and
Yeah,
like knocks on the door, and she freaks out. That's not a great episode at all. there's a, there's a few there's a couple like I would say 3 episodes in here that are just not very good,
yeah.
but in general, it has the tempo of a Morio Asaka shoujo series, which it's kind of fast, and there's the on-screen text of what characters are thinking, or like what the writer of the manga would have put in a little square panel. That's
Mm,
like his trademark when he adapts stuff. So I like that too. It's just up my alley, I guess.
yep, yep. Understand. Um, I also think that this is a 2023 is a good year for romance anime because we have like some other show that I'm pretty sure that other will take the likings like the Angel Next Door, uh
My Happy
the
Marriage.
My Happy Marriage, the Dangers in My Heart.
Yeah, those 3 shows you just listed, I didn't really like at all after watching one episode.
Yeah. Or like the new season or the of Horimiya or
Right.
the the fillers.
Yeah, that I also watched one episode of, and I think I watched a little more, and
Right.
I just didn't care to finish it. But certainly there were a lot of options for a
Yeah.
romance series this year. But for me, this one is, I guess, the second best.
Oh wow. So you got one of the best over there.
Yeah,
All
somewhere
right.
higher on my list, I have another romance anime.
Yeah. So it's just a getaway for my number nine because my number nine is also a romance shows and it's not one of the show that we just mentioned.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
this one is Kimi wa Houkago Insomnia
Okay,
or Insomniacs after
I got
school.
this. I
All
listed
right.
this for you.
Hmm. Interesting. Good on you. So I think this like I mentioned this is a strong year for romance, but Insomniacs still take the cake for me. I feel that it's a two show put into one. So on the one hand, it's a show about two individuals who share the same concerns and feel at ease just to be with each other. And on the other hand, it's also a show about astrology's club activity of taking pictures of the stars. One work better than the others, which is the first one, and we get to see the two main characters, like get to know each others and like enjoy spending time with each others, and like we got what some of the classic setup here. A guy who doesn't have any friends is except for his best friends. It's always the case, falling in love with like a girl who like who been sick. So I was worried that that it go into the same path with like let me eat your pancreas, or where the girl could die in the end. So I'm happy to say that it avoid that pitfall. Uh, at least in in this series,
Core.
because I don't know if it's gonna have a sequel or not. Uh,
Was there no
we could
announcement?
Sorry.
Was there no announcement?
There is no announcement, and I think I would be happy if it end like this. If
Hmm.
it doesn't have like the second season, because it would take. Have you what mix?
The second season? No, I didn't finish it.
All right. All right, so it's hard to spoil that. It would take like a touch level to like to depict someone dead in order to make us move. So
Right.
I don't think Insomnia after school would be on that level to do that. So I would be happy for it to end it this way,
Hmm.
and continue.
Well, yeah, I figured that you would list this. You seem to be, fairly receptive to it when we did I forget what season it was, but
All
whenever
right,
we
yeah,
did our first impressions and that came out.
yeah,
Um,
good on
so
you.
I can't really say, I mean, I honestly don't have trouble, like believing that this is one of the 10 best anime of the year. I think that's, I can see that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I didn't watch beyond the first episode because I read the first 8-ish chapters of the manga
right. Yeah,
for Starcrossed,
yeah.
and when I watched the anime, it added like nothing to it in my mind.
Hmm.
The manga was like I would just rather read the manga, I guess, if I were to continue with it at all.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch any more of the anime, but I can. The first episode was I thought it was pretty plain in terms of
Hmm.
direction, but it certainly wasn't like disappointing or anything. So I
Hmm.
can, yeah, I can believe that this was a top 10 worthy type series.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's good that you enjoyed it. I hope it gets a season. I hope that if it gets a season 2, it approaches the illness of the main female character with the seriousness it
Ah,
deserves.
yeah. This might be like go all the way to like to get it right. I had that.
Well, if it gets a sequel, we'll see.
Yeah, sure. All right. What's your number nine, Wooper?
Tengoku Daimakyou.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
thinking that
that makes sense.
when let's say the start of December when I started to catch up on a whole bunch of anime
Yeah.
in an effort to make a top 10 list that I was happy with. I was thinking to myself, well, surely Tengoku Daimakyo, given the way that it ended, is not going to show up anywhere on my list. Because I was pretty disgusted with, the
The last two
rape
episodes.
scene
Yeah.
at the end of episode 12, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a bunch of other, weird proclivities and perversions that the show was prone to. And apart from that, there were just some episodes, some detours that it took that I wasn't really impressed with. But thinking back on it, it is like probably the most ambitious anime of the entire year,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the best looking. I would say there's only one show that came out this year that can stand up next to it in terms of production.
Mm-hmm.
So the most ambitious, like it has the most ambitious storytelling of the year, and it's one of the two best looking shows of the year. It could, depending on who you ask, they could say it was the best.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I think that is, uh, you know, a good enough argument for it to be on a list like this. Um, I don't know that I'll ever watch it again,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the way that it flashed back and forth between two different time periods and never really gave the game away until the very end of its 13 episodes in this season or core. So not until the very end did it pull back the curtain on that, which was cool, that it kept that card in its back pocket, and that there were so many connections and small little parallels between the two time periods and between different characters who existed in each of them. Was very neat. Impressed by a lot of the animation, um, and I like the character designs too. It's based on a work by the same mangaka as Soremachi, so very round-headed character designs. Get a little bit of a soft look to them, even though they exist in such like a harsh post-apocalyptic reality,
Mhm.
which is an appealing contrast. And background art, of course, incredible. Um, Lots of attention to detail in the world building on a visual level, and lots of different stories told about lots of different side characters too. Just a very uh, like big brained type of series, and yeah, I mean, I just had to give it a shout out here. I didn't really feel like there were enough strong series this year to kick it off, so
All right.
it's here.
All right. No, it doesn't surprise me at all because uh, I also agree that that show is like one of the most like refreshing anime that we watched this year. Whether or not it's on my top 10, we will wait to see.
I mean, I already have a strong prediction for even the exact number
Wow.
on your
All
top
right.
10 that it's going to be at. I'm pretty sure I figured it out.
All
But
right.
yeah, as you
Let
say, we'll get
yeah,
there.
yeah. Let's see if you are on track on that. All right. To my number eight is a show that we mentioned before. That before we doing the top 10 show, and it's going to come four.
Okay.
So yeah, so like we mentioned, it's air half last year and then it got delay and it's aired the rest of it this year. And because of that, I haven't watched any of it last year, waiting for this year to happen to in order to catch up with that. So it's to my defense, it's pretty much 2023 show for me. I regard that this season is not as great as season three. And the season three finished like as number five on that year for me. So it was really huge. But and it focused more on the really big ensemble cast and introduce a few more as well. Uh, it still have the quality of of batshit crazy things where about the characters who feel like a psychopath and feel like they are the protagonists of their own story. It still have many produce many stunning moments where like your raw would literally drops, not literally, but it still have that quality. I'm really eagerly away for the next season coming out, which they say it will be the final season, season five,
Yeah,
where everything come into one. Yeah.
I heard that was going to be the last one.
I also remember that you mentioned that you catching up on Golden Kamuy. How's your journey so far?
Oh, I mean, I think gave you, multiple updates as that was happening. I watched the first season and then I stopped.
All right. Yeah. Well,
It'd just be manga for me, I think. I don't think the TV show, uh, you know, there's a lot of
I know.
action in Golden Kamuy, and I don't really think it looks very impressive.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lame skill, but like it getting better from there.
Well,
And
I know season 3 was the one that everybody loved, so
yeah,
season 4 they would have a lot of experience
yeah,
and
that
maybe
that's right.
deliver something good.
And they learn from their mistake as well because from season three onwards, like the bear is not CG bear
Yeah,
anymore.
everybody talks about the CG bear, but honestly, I mean, the CG bear is just a funny memory. I don't really have any
Yeah,
issue with
that's
that.
true.
I think the show has plenty of other visual problems.
And
Um,
yeah, And even to me, like some of the humors in this season does not work well to me. Some I feel just a bit too much. But well, yep, it is Golden Kamuy at its most, bold. It's its boldest. So, like it just go whatever the hell it wanted to be.
Yeah, got to respect that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Okay,
All right. Yeah, number eight.
so that's your number eight. Mine
Yeah.
is Buddy Daddies.
All right. Wow.
So Buddy Daddies is a spy family,
Yeah.
but different. Instead of a man and
Maybe
woman
better.
with a young girl, it's two men raising a young
Yeah.
girl, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Like they're both assassins, um, but you can tell this is the thing. Part of what I appreciate about the show is you can tell that the people making it really just wanted to tell a story about two men raising a young, like adopting and raising a young girl,
Yeah.
but they couldn't just pitch that and get an original anime made out of it. So what they did was they came up with a premise that was similar to Spy Family, so they could pitch it to a production company, because Spy Family is like a mega global success.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, it's not just two guys raising a girl; they're both assassins. Okay, so this could blow up and become a huge, very profitable franchise for you guys. Just trust us. That's how they pitched it. They got the green light. They made the show they wanted to make. And that means that there are some episodes. For example, the final episode is about one of the two daddies, one of the two buddy daddies, having to go back to his. He comes from like a family of killers,
Yeah.
and so he has to go back to his father, who runs this like shadowy organization, and like eliminate all of the people there, so that it's going to be safe for him to raise Midi, the girl,
Yeah.
because otherwise his father is just going to keep sending hitmen after him. So the series has to make some
The
concessions to its premise. There are
yeah.
some episodes where it's about like assassinations and shit, but I would say that's less than half of it. There are a bunch of episodes, in fact, that are just about like the two of them going to sports day at Miri's
Yeah.
kindergarten,
Mhm.
or taking her to the zoo, or stuff like that. And in those episodes,
Oh, they're not
what?
taking her to the zoo. She go to the zoo with like her school,
Right. Oh,
and
so you watched this then?
I finished it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yes, that's
It may
true.
or may not be on my list.
They go to. Oh, maybe I'd be very surprised, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, It's true. She goes to the zoo with her preschool or kindergarten class, and they follow her because they're
Yeah.
both stalkers. But there are a bunch of episodes that aren't about killing and all
Yeah.
that, and it's those episodes that I really enjoy. And I think the part of the show that is like darker is handled about as well as you would expect. Like it does
Yeah.
tend to clash with the sunnier, more family focused episodes, but I think the writer of the series really figured out the correct balance given the
Mhm.
bizarre, mismatched premise that they were handed.
Yeah.
So I admire that about it. That even though the show was obviously constructed to ride on the coattails of a much more popular series, and was kind of made to be its shadow.
Yeah.
Um, it's still very cute, fun, and heartwarming in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
like the art direction. Just got to throw that in there. The backgrounds are pretty darn nice. Yeah.
Uh, I just want to ask you a few questions about the show because Buddy Daddy is one of the show that I finished last before before compiling this top 10.
Yeah.
So the memory is still really fresh on my memories.
I also
Um,
watched the last episode today.
oh wow, right. It's about one of the daddies, like shoot himself into the arms so that
Right.
he rendered useless to his father.
Yeah.
How that work? Because when you see they having a a shootout, he used his left hand, so his left hand gonna be the dominant hands, right? And he just shoot the right arms, and he still leave it the left arms.
Was
So
he left-handed?
when he shoot his father, he use his left hand to shoot it.
Well, that was that
Why?
after he had already shot his.
No, it's
No, he
before. Yeah,
shoots. That's right. He shoots him. Man, I don't. I honestly cannot remember. I want to say that he's right-handed.
yeah. Well, I would say that as well, but I still remember distinctly that he shoot his father with his left hand.
Okay.
So
I mean,
yeah,
how
and
exactly it works,
yeah,
I don't really
how
know.
how exactly like he think that he shoot himself in the arms, that like his father not gonna go out to to kill him
Well,
because
I think that was the point of that scene was that
yep,
he was like
yep,
declaring to his father, this is it. Like this is the end.
yep.
Um, I'm useless to you now. If you want to shoot me, shoot me.
Well,
Because
all
he
right.
even he walks away slowly, like he doesn't turn and dash out of the room so his dad can't shoot him.
Yep,
He
yep,
turns slowly and walks away, and his father like holds up, trains the gun on his back, but can't fire.
yep.
Ostensibly because he's like very impressed by his son's resolve and shooting him his own arm. And I mean, the
Yep,
only note that I took on episode 12 here, I've got it in front of my face on my monitor. When
yep,
you
yep,
know something you're watching makes absolutely no sense, but you're enjoying it anyway. That's the
yep.
Buddy Daddies episode 12 experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so, and I think the comparison to Spy and Family is on point. But I feel that these two shows do different things, and they do it. Like they have different thing going on, and it make it Buddy Daddy to be like a show that stand on its own as well. So yeah, really enjoy that.
All right. What you got for number 7?
All right, my number seven is the one that I would figure that would be on your list as well. Undead Girl Murder Fast.
Okay.
I say this is like a very stylish show, and it's willing to take risks. Throughout the entire core, we see the show split into three big arcs that have different setting and different set of characters. For me, some acts work better than the others, so I distinctively like the act two and the majority of the last act. But it also functions as a mystery show. But when it goes full action, it goes all out too. So I would say that the all the action sequences are spectacular. They have like a lot of larger than life characters that like we for me I really want to spend more time off. It is yeah, it is one of the show that I can feel the love and the talent that put into it. So really really hope that it gonna have like more season for us to watch.
As I recall, the ending did kind of leave the door wide open for another season.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But there is no announcement yet for like for any other season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the director, Hatakeyama, he's the Kaguya-sama director, and I have to imagine that
Yep,
as
yep,
long as there are plans to adapt Kaguya, like more Kaguya material, um, he's going to be involved.
yep,
So he
yep,
probably just can't go off and do whatever he wants on his own. Like that's really a
mhm,
Shingo Natsume move, where
yep,
you direct One Punch Man and then you're like, I'm done with this.
yep, yep, yep.
um, so yeah, I don't know whether he'll get a chance to do a second season. Is this is not an original, correct? This is based on something, right?
This is based on manga as well.
Oh,
I
it is. Okay, I was wondering if it was based on a novel.
let's
Is it
let
not?
me let me have a quick look. Undead Woman first. Is it based on? novels. Yeah,
Okay.
according to my anime list. Yeah,
Yeah. It kind
you're
of
right.
makes sense that it would be because there are so many references to other, like literary characters. So
Yep,
many of the
that's
characters
true.
are, you know, Sherlock Holmes and et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
It's been a while since I've watched it, which this was, it was summer, wasn't it?
It was
Because we
summer.
watched it alongside Zom 100, or at least the first 9 episodes of Zom
Yeah,
100, and Oku. So, I think that was
yep,
summer 2024.
yep, yep,
So
yep.
it wasn't that long ago, but this show has like, I'll tell you what, just days after watching like the final episode, almost the entire show just vacated my brain completely. I have almost
Wow,
no memory of this
wow.
show at all.
I'm the exact opposite as well. I actually because I still remember some of it, and I actually feel it better now than I was. When we had the postcard about the show.
Right. Yeah. It just I didn't have the same experience. I think it was a consequence of there was it was split into 3 cases. The first one was 4 episodes, second one was 4 episodes, the last one was 5, and that last episode really seemed to drag in my mind.
Mhm, mhm.
And I think that was probably a contributor to the fact that I just forgot everything about it.
Yeah, we also
Um,
had like the prologue of the first episodes. Remember that?
a prologue of the first episode.
Yeah. I mean like the first episode is essentially just the two main characters meet each other, so it's not
Yes,
belong
that's
to
right.
any of the acts.
Right. They meet each other in Japan,
That's
as I
right. Yeah.
recall. Yeah. And then the other cases happen in, different places throughout Europe.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Right. That's
Yep.
right. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So what is your number seven?
Okay. Yeah. Undead Girl Murder Farce, just to comment on it really quickly. That was a show that, like, having watched it, knowing who the director was and having watched it and I think been impressed by it, especially as you said, that second arc, which even though I've forgotten a lot about it, uh, the the second arc in my mind is the one that I remember watching the most. I remember some of the fights in like an abandoned church and stuff, um, being impressed by
Yep.
that, but
Yep.
for some reason it didn't really stick with me. So
Uh,
it does seem like the sort of show that belongs on a top 10 list, though,
yeah. Will
but
it be on
it's
the
not
top
on mine.
10? Yeah. Oh, jeez.
There you
All right.
go. Gotcha.
Ah.
Here's one that you definitely didn't predict, on being on my list. Number 7 is Ochibi-san.
All right. Mm-hmm. No, I
So
wasn't.
this, what's that?
I didn't predict that on the
Yeah,
list. Oh, Chibi-san.
I wouldn't expect anybody to.
Yeah.
Ochibi-san is, it's. I think we previewed it just recently, for the fall 2023 First Impressions episode. I brought this one
Yeah.
up. It's a short little series adapting, Ochibi-san, the manga by Moyoko Ano,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just very fun. It's kind of a little celebration of, Japan's 4 seasons. Most episodes, and most segments within each of the little 5-minute episodes are themed around a particular season. So, you'll get to see the characters rolling down a grassy hill. I don't know if when you were a kid you ever like got on your stomach and like rolled down a hill.
Uh, yeah.
Um, have you ever done that? Anything like that?
Not me on the basic that I live in the city, so there was no hill to to roll on.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm tempted. I was tempted. I'm still tempted even now to do that.
Yeah. Well, you're in Australia now. I gotta imagine there's some good places to
Yeah,
do it,
yeah, yeah.
even if
They are.
they aren't covered in grass.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
But
Well, you can try it
I'm too
sometime
old
if
for that now. I'm
yeah,
too old for that now.
maybe. You don't want to like throw your back out or anything. But the nice thing about Ochibi-san is that the main character is just a little chibi guy of indeterminate age. He's got a little squeaky voice, so he sounds like a kid. Then there's a couple
Mhm.
dogs, who are his best friends, so they don't have to worry about throwing out their back. They just celebrate the different seasons however they like.
Yep.
If it's if it's the rainy season, there might be a little miniature segment about the characters jumping in puddles and hoping that they'll be able to jump through it and into another world.
Yep.
And it doesn't happen, and then they get kind of disappointed by that and have a little conversation about what they would do if they went to another world. Where they would go in their little puddle world. Or they might swing on a wisteria vine like Tarzan and go, oh. I think you saw that one because that was in the first episode. Um, so it's just little short vignettes of characters, interacting with nature and
Hmm.
appreciating the different seasons in Japan. There's also a couple episodes that are a little bit more sad and introspective. Episode 6 in particular introduces, or he's actually introduced in episode 2, I think, or the first one even. His name is Oji, and he's an old man with a beard.
I think I recall him. Yes.
Yeah. In episode 6, it's only him and a cat named Jack. They're the only two
Yep.
characters who appear. There's no Ochibi-san, no Pankui or Nazani. Those are the dogs' names. It's just him. And it's a story about him coming across a cat who is just sitting and watching a construction site where its owner's house used to be. And even though his owners have moved away and the house is being torn down, the cat just sits and stares at the house. Oji discovers the cat and begins to feed it. And in the process of doing all this, his wife, who he's caring for at home, passes away.
Oh.
Um, and when that happens, he realizes to himself, or he realizes that now he is in the same situation as the cat, where the cat is like, by sitting and watching this house, it's mourning the fact that it's no longer with its family, its owners, and now he is also separated from his wife because she's passed on. So he decides to adopt the cat, and it's a very tender story told in a way that I think kids can appreciate. Uh, it's there's not a lot of like loud crying and wailing about how sad he is, but it does feel sad. Um, and it's yeah it I appreciate the fact that the show is frequently happy, but sometimes a little bit more introspective, and it bridges those two tones in a way that any younger viewers who are watching will be able to understand and appreciate. Gives them like a safe place to interact with grief, and also to be entertained and charmed. Um, so that's Ochibi-san.
Yep. I did expect one of your shots to be in the top 10 list because you always have that. But I put the wrong one. So maybe you would have two in there. So we don't know. Let's see.
Could be.
Yep.
No rule against it, right?
Yeah, there's no rule against it at all.
What you got for number 6?
All right. So my number six is the one that everyone keep telling is the anime of the year, the masterpiece, and all that. It sit quietly on my sixth spot of the year. And it's another sequel, Vinland Saga 2.
Wow, I thought for sure you were talking about Frieren
Oh, all
because
right.
you said everybody thinks of it as a masterpiece.
This one as well. This one, like everyone who watched the second season say that it even better than the first season. It
Right.
just
Yeah, I mean
like I
that
said,
description definitely applies to Vinland Saga too.
yeah. So so while the first season is focused on war, this second season is focused on another tiny topic of that era, which is slavery. So it feel epic in any sense. It focused on Thorfinn and how much he has grown from single-mindedly going for revenge in the first season to a pacifist that he is now, and to swear off the violence. So to witness that journey is where like Thorfinn go from like from a hug of himself into like feel really regret about all his killing to like what we see uh in the final few episodes is like a a joy to watch. I still think that it doesn't need to get a full 2 quarter. I just feel that like a good 15 or 16 episode would be enough to cover all this material. It feels longer than it need to,
Hmm.
and I'm still isn't really convinced about like Thorfinn final confrontation with Canute. But like all in all, I feel that because it go for like 24 episode, it feel really epic, and it feel like just a part of like something more epic to come, which is now we get into more of Thorfinn going to find the titular Vinland Saga.
Well, Vinland, right?
Yep, that's
He's
right,
not going to find a
Vinland.
saga. He's in
All
the
right, yeah,
saga.
yeah, that's right, Vinland.
Is
In the
that how?
saga to
I
find
mean,
Vinland.
I didn't even finish season 2.
All right,
So
right, yep,
is that how? Is that how it concludes? Him being like,
yep.
"Well, guess it's time to go to America."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. Well,
And
that's cool.
yep. And you still haven't finished Finger Saga. Wow. And here I am taught put that on your top 10 list.
Now, man, I bailed out partway through.
All right.
You know, wasn't doing it for me.
Yep.
I
No,
expect
fair
like for
enough.
Vinland Saga, I expect more, um,
All right. Yep.
especially in terms of appearance.
Yep.
I just really don't feel as though the show does. It's not really visually cohesive. I think the backgrounds in Vinland Saga far eclipse any of the actual animation to the point that it's like very distracting to watch.
Right.
Um, and I also don't really like the whole Thorfinn's whole thing with like being a pacifist and not wanting to be violent at all. Like, what if somebody comes to your village and is like, "Yeah, we're gonna burn down all your shit and rape your women"? What
Yeah.
are you gonna do? Run?
No, no. He did learn that as well. So he did learn to protect his thing by like by fighting, but not by killing.
So you fight, but you don't kill the people who have come to
Yep.
kill you.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Something along that.
Okay, so once you've defended your land and your people, and you've knocked everybody unconscious, then what do you do? Do you abandon your homeland? Because when they wake up,
Keep
they're
running,
gonna
right?
try to kill you again.
Yep. No,
So does
I
that
don't
mean
know.
you have to go establish some new settlement?
I think that's gonna be his like the thing that he had to figure out by his own in the next in the next journey.
Yeah, I don't really get that. I don't understand the mangaka's point.
Yeah, I think that's one of the question that he pondering himself as well. This is the era where like killing and killing is glory. Like the more you kill, the higher status you are, and
Yeah.
he isn't that. So he keep pondering like what is the best way to not kill anyone, but still keep everyone happy and all that shit for like for the whole for the whole season. So
Well,
if you
sailing
want to
across
do
the sea might be the answer.
yeah,
I guess
all
we'll find
right,
out in season 3.
yeah. Why is your number 6 then?
Ooku, the inner chambers.
Yep, understand. Yep,
Um, really enjoyed. So speaking of a show that does not look great,
yep,
where Vinland Saga is concerned, I have like really high expectations for it. With this show, I guess I just don't have the not knowing anything about it beforehand. I didn't have the same expectations. And what set the tone for me was that movie length premiere that we alluded to earlier.
yep,
So when that ended up being, a little half baked and a little ugly, I was like, okay, so that's just what this show looks like. It's a
yep,
little half baked and ugly. that I grew accustomed to that.
Yeah.
So no, obviously it didn't get the lavish treatment that may have propelled it to something like a number one spot, but um, I ended up being okay with how it looked.
Yeah.
I would love love for it to be improved, but that wasn't the way it was.
Yeah.
The story though was what I enjoyed about it.
Hmm.
So there
Hmm.
was that original movie length premiere with Mizuno as the one of the concubines, I guess. What were they called in Oku?
Uh, yeah, I think it's concubine.
Well,
All
that's
right.
essentially what they were, but I think maybe there was a different title for them. Um, but it being gender swapped meant that the shogun was a woman, and all the members of the palace of the inner chambers were men, and he was foremost among them, Mizuno. And then you had that reveal where, since he was the one to deflower the shogun, he had to be killed, but he survived in the end. I like the way that story ended. Put a made that little slice of the show self-contained,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, so where do they go from here? Of course, I knew generally what direction we would be going in because it was going to tell a history, so we would just move on to um, or we would flash back rather
Yeah.
um, to what Japan did in the immediate aftermath of the red face smallpox starting to spread across the country. And the way that the show juggled the economic and political realities of Japan facing that plague, and
Hmm.
also did some character work with the people who existed in the like the inner palace,
Hmm.
and the chronicling the evolution of the shogun's uh, like mentality, her mindset, and how
Hmm.
she became a ruler who could actually you know do what was best for her people, even if she wasn't doing it out of compassion
Yeah.
or out of kindness or thoughtfulness. She was still like leading her country the best way that she was able.
Hmm.
Watching her evolve into the sort of person who could do that, despite the unimaginable horror of her life up to that point, and of many characters. This is a very tragic story. Um, just seeing where these characters came from, and how they learned to live in their messed up world that was created in the Oku, how insular it was, and the the intrigue that bubbled up as a result of people trying to get ahead or make a better life for themselves, even in this little isolated world. Just really interesting stuff overall. A lot of
Hmm.
adult characters, a lot of people navigating very complex, bloody adult situations,
Hmm.
and still a lot of the responsibility that the characters had to bear was placed on like very young adults, even characters who could mentally be described as children in some cases, um, because they'd like lived sheltered up in they'd been brought up in a sheltered environment, or they'd been exposed to so much trauma that they were kind of trapped in a child's frame of mind. It just offered a lot to think about with every single episode. Each
Yeah.
episode was an alternate history lesson. Yeah, each episode was like a little bit of a character study. Um, just a lot. It had a lot to offer, I feel.
Yeah. And there's one little detail that I really like is that like one of these very one of the rules is that the guy who deflowered the princess, like
The
the
Shogun.
concubine, the shogun is gonna die, gonna get killed off, and we eventually learn why she like why it first established like that, because he would rape. So yes,
Right.
it very interesting.
Yeah. That's just one example of the way that like trauma is passed down from
Yep.
character to character and generation to generation
Yep.
in this story. And it, you know, there are characters who are able to evolve past that and beyond that, but only with like a lot of time and effort. And not everybody lives long enough to see the fruit of that evolution. You know, some characters
That,
are
that's true.
killed as part of the plot, like characters scheming against one another. Some characters die as a result of the red face smallpox. Um, yeah, just a lot of tragedy, which I like.
Yep, I agree. Wow. So we finished like the bottom half of our top 10. So now to the number 5.
Right. What you got?
This one, yeah, this one I reckon will be the most surprise for you for out of this list or to anyone
Okay.
because it's the most out of the blue. But I also figure that Wooper have this on his predicted list. So let's go with that. My number five anime for 2023 is Mou Ippon or M- Ippon More Ippon.
Mou Ippon. What was it? Wrestling?
It's a wrestling one, yes.
Yeah. No, you completely took me by surprise with this. Wow.
All right, so this one, I think I mentioned to Wooper, I watched the first 3 episodes and I really like it, but didn't have time to, like to go anything further with that. So I watched it in the last week to in participate for this list and more than any other show on this year except for maybe one other show in the top four that I have the most enjoyable time watching it. So it's not only give the specific on the spot that I have no interest before, which is wrestling and I think it's judo as well.
Okay.
It also has all the quality of a great sports show like Haikyuu or Chan Killing, which is focused on all the players and their motivations. So all about their relationship with judos and why they love it so much. Uh, it it have like the whole cast of characters and like everyone have their own reason for loving judo, so they have all the personality. It also very thrilling to watch as well. So even I who didn't know about judo before, knowing now know about some of the move and like really I'm really hooked to watch like how the match fold out. So I don't know if it ever have the second season, but I'm really eager if for the next one coming.
Wow.
So more Ippon.
Very cool pick. I
Wow,
like
thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I mean, I have absolutely nothing to say about this. I haven't even seen a single episode of it. I'm very shocked.
Yeah.
I do. Your mention, like you mentioned to me that you had seen 3 episodes and enjoyed them, but hadn't watched more. That does
Yeah.
ring a bell. Now that you
Yeah.
say that, but I did not like account for that when I was thinking about what your 10 shows might be. So,
Yeah.
um,
Give
wow,
give it a
cool.
try. Everyone who listened, give it a try. Maybe give it 3 episodes to see if it is your stuff. It's totally my stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, that kind of makes me want to try an episode.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
more Ippon.
Yeah, I looked it up while you were talking, and it is judo. So me saying wrestling was just off the mark. It's a judo
Wow.
series.
Yeah.
Um, cool. All right.
All right. What's your number 5?
My number 5. You said that you predicted that I would include one short series,
Yeah.
and that Ochibi-san was not it, but I did in fact include another one. It's my number 5, so you may get it here. It is
Yeah.
Hyakushou Kizoku.
All right. Nope.
Okay.
Here you go.
Okay. Then did you guess Wan Jie season 4?
That's the one that I
Okay.
that I guessed.
I almost put that on my list.
You're right. Yeah.
So you may not have gotten it correct, but you were you were on the right track.
All right.
So Hyakusho Kizoku, or Noble Farmer, is like Silver Spoon season 3 for me,
Yep.
basically, because it's Hiromu Arakawa, who wrote Silver Spoon,
Yep.
talking. The series is like half memoir, half educational. So she
Mm-hmm.
tells stories about growing up on a farm, um, and about working on a farm, and she also like from her own life. So she tells some stories about her dad, for example, when there was a cow who was going to give birth in the middle of the night in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, that process gives off so much heat that her dad would just go out to the barn in his underwear
All
because he
right.
didn't want to get his clothes dirty. So he would just go out to the barn in his underwear in like freezing cold temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and her dad would do a bunch of other crazy stuff on the farm, like drive really recklessly, and so she'll tell stories about like growing up on a farm and her family members, and even little anecdotes about cats and dogs that lived on the farm when she was growing up.
Damn.
Those are all very fun, and at the same time, the show is educational, teaches you a little bit about farming. Like, for example, that milk tastes different from season to season because it's impacted by the dietary habits of the cows, which
Mm-hmm.
change as like the availability of grass is different, and as cows are like, they're given water with different nutritional makeup and stuff that'll impact the taste of the milk.
Yep.
So there are little lessons like that built into the show as well. Um, so it's just very, very fun. I really, really love Silver Spoon. So this was just the show was basically made for me. Not
Yep.
really, but I appreciated it a lot.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun because not only was it like about farm life and about Arakawa's life, but there was also one of the characters in the show is her editor, like her manga editor. So
Uh-huh.
you also get tiny little insights into Arakawa's life as a manga author. For example,
Mm-hmm.
there is an episode where Arakawa talks about the process of like harvesting potatoes, and that the majority of potatoes are classified either as waste or non-standard, and so they can't be sold.
Yep.
Um, and her editor is like, well, how can you harvest all these potatoes but half of them you can't even use? That just seems so wasteful.
Yep.
Then Arakawa, who is represented in the entire show as a cow. That's how she like draws herself, is as a cow. So she's like a bipedal cow standing on two legs and wearing glasses and talking and stuff. She says
Yep.
to her editor, well, just think about it in terms of you as an editor reading a whole bunch of manga pitches. More than half of them are you're just going to throw in the trash, right? And then her
Yeah.
editor goes, "Yeah,
Wow.
that's a good point." So
Oh wow.
the editor being in there also, kind of creates a like a meta element of the show where it's based on a manga and you've got characters talking about manga while this manga is being written about farm life. So it's got that aspect to it as well, which is fun.
Wow.
Just
It's
a
very
show I really
interesting.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching, and it's short. All the episodes are 5 minutes, and it's got a really cool ED as well. Like the EDs, it's really real bouncy and makes you like kind of dance along in your chair. So it's just fun.
Yeah. Oh, I really want to check it out now. So yeah, good job on, recommending this show.
Yeah, it's got
Just
good
saying how
subtitles
good that is. Yeah.
by a subgroup called Seigyoku. Um, so it
Tengoku.
wasn't like on Subs Please or anything. Somebody had to do it themselves, and
Yeah.
the subs are really good.
Alrighty. All right. So yeah, there's a few more, a few new threshold for you listener to to check out.
Yep.
All right. So to my number four, it's a show that also every other one say it's a masterpiece,
Okay, we
and
know what this is.
yeah, yeah, this is it. So this is Frieren Beyond Chunien. So when you mentioned now in heavily delusion that there's one other show that like that the production is really polished. I think this is the one that you mentioned,
Yeah.
and I completely agree with you on that. This just the production is top notch. It's very police, and it can be spectacular when it need be as well with all the action sequences. I also really respect it for take a generic fantasy world and explore something very different. So Frieren, for example, feeling of wanting to know more about about human, about looking back, about really appreciate her time with like the humans. Uh, it's have really this calm healing effect that like other fantasy doesn't usually like. There's one small issue that I have with the show though is the mini act involving the demons, where like free reign just straight out like saying that all demons are evil, and the demon in that arc just know exactly what she expected. I reckon that there can be like one little act in the future where she encounter a demon who actually gonna train her mind. But for now, it just something uh, kind of feel a bit racist.
Well,
Other than
it is
that
a
though,
fantasy race.
well, yeah, well, but still racist all the same.
I
Uh,
guess, yeah. I guess it is. It is in the universe of Frieren. It's racist. You got to figure though that there are probably not a lot of people who are pro demons' rights when there's a literal demon king
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
who is making life hell for pretty much everyone in this entire fantasy world, and who is the ultimate incarnation of evil. Not quite the
yeah.
same as how different ethnic groups work in the real world.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Uh, and watching her journey, like as she gain another member, as like each episode split into two or three small acts and mini stories, and we see like how it resolve. It just feel like I would definitely say that we never have a bad free run episodes yet. It's just
Yes,
very very consistent.
that's true. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I do like that a lot of the episodes are split up into like two parts
yep,
or three parts even. They each tell little small stories. Um, and yeah, I agree that the demon arc is the worst. The For me, it's been the worst part of the show so far. Like episodes 7 through 9, 7 through 10, something like that. Um, I don't have a problem with the idea that in this universe, like demons are just monsters that have learned to talk. Um,
hmm
you know, no no issues with that on my end. But the fact that there was so much standing around and talking about like
yep,
how humans have learned about this spell, like Zoltrak is the name of this demon spell, and humans studied it and learned how to like amplify its magic. And there's a bunch of dialogue about, I don't know, uh, what do they talk about? It's just
a
very
lot.
technical, like magic
Oh yeah.
barriers and suppressing their mana to fool demons into thinking they have less mana than they actually do. And
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
I
a lot
remember
of
that.
talking about magical systems and techniques and stuff that really doesn't appeal to me. I just prefer when the show is like more contemplative and quiet,
Yep,
which it is most of the time.
yep. All right. What is your number four then?
My number four is Aggretsuko season 5.
Oh wow, this is like the show that I actually missed.
Yeah. By that do you mean that you didn't even watch it?
I didn't even watch it
Yeah, I thought there was a possibility that you wouldn't. Um, because it's Aggretsuko is just always coming out. It's
every
easy to forget
years,
about
every
it.
years.
It's not really a
Yep.
huge event because it just kind of happens. Um, every season of Aggretsuko has had like a different kind of theme. Like there was
Yep.
they address like different social phenomena. In
Mm-hmm.
one season, there like Retsuko becomes an idol. In one season, her boyfriend is like he's an AI billionaire.
Yep.
Um, there's always or apps like dating apps. I think that was the first season. There was some focus on that.
second season, I think. Dating apps
Oh, that was
with the
also the
boyfriend.
second season.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. Now that I think about it. So in
When she
this
become
one,
an idol, sorry, when she become an idol, I think it's the third season.
yes, that's right.
And then, yeah, all right.
And
Yep, go on.
season 4 was very Haida focused, and it was about him like trying to take over the company, right, with some other guy.
Season four, right? It's about, yeah, someone tried to take over the company, but not him.
But I think Haida is recruited as part of their plan or something. That's why he leaves
Right, right,
and
right.
isn't
Yep, 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 yep.
working there anymore.
Yep, yep,
So season 4, I remember not. I wasn't too big a fan.
yep.
So I approached season 5 with trepidation. I wasn't sure whether I was going to
Mhm.
like it, but it
Yep.
ended up being pretty entertaining. Um, well, more than pretty entertaining. I mean, it is my fourth favorite anime of the year.
Yep.
That's not to say that it's excellent or anything. I mean, there are lots of things it could have done better, I imagine. But the thing that it focuses on is it gets political this season.
Yep.
Retsuko runs for office.
Ooh.
That's her thing in
Ooh.
this season,
Oh.
and it ends up being very fun and offering some interesting commentary on how like stuck in the past Japan's political system is,
Mhm.
and how Retsuko is trying to come in and disrupt that. And it takes a while. Like each season of Aggressive Retsuko is 10 episodes. It takes a while for the political subplot to emerge in those 10 episodes. For a while, the show is doing different things and kind of dipping its foot in a bunch of different pools. Um, but once the political subplot emerges, it gets a little bit more momentum, and I think from that point on, the show is firing on all cylinders. Um, so I was happy that it kind of returned to form a little bit, at least in my opinion.
Mhm.
There's also some work done on Retsuko's relationship with Haida because they are
Yep.
they get together I think at the end of season 4,
Yep.
and you get to see how their relationship works or doesn't work.
Yep.
Um, in season 5, you get to you know see the difficulty that they have making things work when they're at different places in their lives.
Yep.
Um,
Uh,
so it's more aggressive Retsuko. I think I had the first, second, and third seasons on my favorite anime of the year list in each of those years.
all
So
right. Wow.
it
Really?
only made sense for me to put it here as well. Now that it came back with the season that I could get behind.
Yep. 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 So I was deciding between Buddy Daddies and Aggressive Rescue to be, the last show that I watched before, before the podcast. So like the last show to wrap up, and I fall into Buddy Daddies, but I don't really regret that choice either.
Hmm. Well, I think that if you decide to watch season Aggretsuko, I think you'll like it.
Yeah. All right. So we are in our top three now. So I think I got your top three figured out, and I think you as well got my top three figured out. It's just the order that is the most important now. So let's
I
see if
mean,
we got
I
that one
do I
right.
have your top 3 figured out. I posted my little predictions thing, but to
Yeah.
be honest, I can't even really remember what the predictions are. Let me see
All
here.
right. You can put that up. I have my
Oh, yes, I do. I know your top 3 for sure, without a doubt.
yeah. So it's just a matter to see the orders of the three because I'm pretty sure that two out of three we have uh will be the same. So without further ado, my number three for top 10 anime of 2023 is Pluto.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I was wrong. I don't have
All
your
right.
top 3 locked in. Wow.
Oh really? All
I'm
right.
so
That's
surprised that you omitted one of the shows that I'm thinking of right now. Okay, you got
hmm.
Pluto. All right.
All right. So Pluto, I remember. we read the manga and for the postcard. So, listener, you can check out the postcard that we were talking about Pluto and our like general impression of Pluto. And I remember distinctively that I was disappointed at the manga. But watching back the anime again, it just improved my experience. So Pluto is a perfect cross between two of the greatest mind in manga. It have a good cast of characters, especially like the seven most advanced robots, where for a limited screen time, their personality come through, and we can see why they are like the best robots out of the entire universe. It's explore the conflict between human and robot. Robots are meant to be attuned for human, but at the so abuse, uh, they can experience human emotion and dilemma, such as experience grief, PTSD, love, and most of all hatred. It's honored. It's also honor the source materials and put the old character to the new light, like Pluto, like all the Atom and Urans and all the other characters. But I still have the same issue that I have with the manga. Namely, they have too many antagonists like Pluto. What is the guy? What is the robot at the end? I don't
Bora.
even Bora and even uh, the teddy bear. Too many, it.
Well, it's not even just those three. There's also um, Abuda, who
Yep,
is also Goji,
yep. It's just
and
getting
then
too
Pluto is
complex.
also his son Sahad.
Yeah, it just too complex for complexity sake, and I get the appearance, the introduction of Bora just for that Pluto can have the redemption arc. That's it. But like Bora, we don't even know anything about him, and I just feel he and the teddy bear are a missed opportunity for this show. Otherwise, it end the best way it could.
Right. So I'll tell you right now, just as I did not get your top three correct,
Yeah,
um, you must be under the impression that I put Pluto in my top three.
that's right. And it
So that
wasn't.
means you don't have
Jeez.
my top three predicted.
Wow.
Pluto
Damn.
is not anywhere close to a top 10 for me. I did watch it.
All right. I predict it as your number one.
All right.
All
Nope.
right.
No, not even close, man.
Jesus.
I
All
had a
right.
worse time watching this than I did reading the manga, I think.
Wow. Wow. All right. Tell me more about that. Tell us more about that.
It's just so simple.
Yeah.
It's just so it's just so simple-minded in like one note, dude. Uran, the character, being like, I sense emotions over there. Somewhere across the world, emotions are happening. That's her whole reason for existing. Uh, there are so many conversations during the course of Gesik's investigation where, he'll be talking to someone and they'll say, "Oh, and it happened at such and such a time during in this location," and he'll be like, "That location." Yeah, it happened over there, and it was really mysterious because the doctor was also in the same place at the same time, and he'll say, "The doctor." Yeah, the doctor who does the things with robots. Robots. Like dialogue in this series is so just one person talking and the other person interjecting periodically, repeating something that they just said, which is like classic anime, which I guess comes from manga.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really it gets extremely tiresome. The whole clusterfuck of there being so many different antagonists and some of them being split personalities of others is just, you know, when you're a famous mangaka, you can just do whatever the hell you want, and at the end be like, oh yeah, they were all the same guy, and and that other guy was also that guy's son. Uh,
Yeah.
just wrap it up
Yeah.
however you want. People are gonna sniff your farts no matter what you do. I am the number one Naoki Urasawa hater. There's no way. There's no way that Pluto was gonna pop up on my list. I just didn't. You know,
Are you? Are you?
I was just sitting through every single episode just to say that I finished it. There was
All
no
right.
joy or appreciation.
Are you enjoying Yawara?
Well, I've only seen 2 episodes of Yawara, but I at least am, interested to see what comes next.
All right. Yeah.
But as for Pluto, man, dude, you should. I have pages and pages and pages and pages of notes that I took
Yep.
on it,
Is that
and it's
hatred or the hatredness, or is
yeah.
that
Well, that's
like?
another thing, dude. That the theme, like hatred as a motif in this manga, is it's similar to how simple Uran's way of talking about emotions is.
Yep.
The idea that you can just introduce hatred into somebody's AI, and it's a very it's a very strong emotion. It'll just wake them up. It's just hatred is just very strong. It's hatred.
Yep.
What did he do? He hated. His last moments were hatred. You wake him up by introducing hatred into his system. Hatred, hatred. Just say hatred, like 150 times, and
All right.
I don't know.
y- Yeah. One
At
thing
a
I don't
certain point, it
understand.
just ends up being a combination of 6 letters rather than a word that stands for a concept.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. One thing I don't understand as Atom, like wakes up from, like after he being dead and like basically resurrect. He wrote the formula for
The anti-proton bomb.
all right. Yeah, what that means. Like,
It just is a MacGuffin. It's just like the anti-proton bomb is what Bora carries inside of it,
yep.
and it's going to use to detonate underneath Aiden Park, which is meant to be like Yosemite National Park in America.
All right. So you just say it's just a red herring. Then it just
No, it's. I mean, it's just a. I don't know. I think the word that I actually used was what was it? A MacGuffin.
microphone. Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, all it is a gigantic bomb that's going to be used to destroy the world. It just at the last second raises the stakes to be like the whole
No,
world is
no.
going to get covered in ash as a
Yeah, yeah,
result of the
yeah.
explosion.
I understand that, but I just doesn't understand what that's what that particular scene stand for. Like Pluto just feeling with break and hatred that that he just write the formula and then to destroy the world, and then he just like say like okay, now I'm get over it. It just me swirling in the moment.
Are you talking about Adam here?
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, sorry. I was mentioning Pluto. Yeah, I talking about Ada.
Yeah.
Atom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the idea. I
All right.
think because at that point in the story, everything revolves around like the concept of robots hating, like
Yeah.
hatred as like an artificial emotion or as a real emotion because robots can really feel in this universe. Um, but yeah, I think the reason that he comes up with the anti-proton bomb formula is because that's like the most destructive um, thing in the universe and
All
would
right.
be like the biggest expression of somebody's hatred and anger would
Mm-hmm.
be to set off this bomb. So to represent that, he just writes the formula. And of course, that's all that is Urasawa saw, a movie or something where a character does that, where they're like in their jail cell and they have a piece of chalk and they write out a crazy formula. It's a trope that's existed for decades at this point, I'm sure. And he replicated it. I'm 100% serious. Like there's
Yeah.
he ripped that off from something. Um, and it comes out across as honestly very hacky.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
All right, Dave. All
yeah,
right. So I wonder what's your number three then. You know, but your actual
yeah. I
number
don't have
three.
Fluto, but I will say, like, it's cool for fans of like science fiction anime, that the Pluto
Yep.
adaptation got made because it's like a hallmark science fiction manga. So
Yep.
for people who
Mm,
were like waiting for that for a long time, it's like a dream come true, which is nice.
yep. All right.
My
Back to
number
you.
three is about as far from Pluto as you can get. Speaking of like the difference between, for example, Ooku and Oshinoko, this is my number three is Pokemon Concierge.
Wow. Wow.
So
What
that
the
is about
heck?
as far as
Right.
you can get from Pluto. This is a 4 episode little mini series that dropped,
Yep.
I think, with just a few days left in the year. It's stop motion. It's from Studio Dwarf, who are the same production company that did Rilakuma and Kaoru,
All
which
right.
was my favorite anime from a
That's
few
why
years
it is
back.
stop motion, right?
Yes, stop motion. And I mean, put simply, it just looks amazing. Uh, it's great. Like Pokemon finally being represented, um, not as like little cartoons who squeak their own names over and over, but instead as like three-dimensional creatures made out of like wool or clay or some tactile material that instead of saying their own name actually make little animal noises is just great. Like it's the way Pokemon you would imagine. Like if you saw a whole bunch of Pokemon illustrations of them, you would imagine that this would be how they would act and the noises they would make and everything. Pokemon Concierge brings that to life. Sorry, I just hit my mic. That's how excited I am, I guess. So my favorite Pokemon, as you might guess, based on my screen name, is Wooper. And within the first 3 minutes of episode one, there's a claymated Wooper like running across the screen with a big smile on its face.
God
And
damn.
I was like, hell yeah. That's how you know this is gonna be good.
God
Uh
damn.
it's set on like a resort island,
Yep.
like a tropical island where all the Pokemon and their trainers just come to like hang out, have a good time, play games, eat snacks, just chill, and it's awesome.
Yep. Yep.
I love it. So the thing that makes it more than just like a like Pokemon masturbation, basically, is the fact that it takes a female protagonist from like the salaryman and salarywoman world of Japan in the same way that Rilakuma has a salarywoman as its main character. In Pokemon
Mhm.
Concierge, the main character is a early to mid 20s career woman who has burned out and like left that life behind because she couldn't handle the pressure of it. So she comes to this island to be a concierge at this hotel, and the lessons that she learns about like de-stressing, um, like taking problem solving a little bit more slowly and trying to find a solution that makes as many people happy as possible instead of just like mechanically solving every problem as it comes up, like stamping it out because it's a threat to
Mhm.
your company. Just trying to enjoy life a little bit more, um, living in the moment, stuff like that. She takes up a hobby of illustrating, even though she's not very good at drawing. She finds, passion in it, and she like loves to draw pictures of Pokemon, and um, she makes a connection with a couple of Pokemon at the resort in particular, because they are having trouble fitting in, and it reminds her of the difficulty that she had in like Japan's corporate world. So she like forms a connection with them on that level, and just tries to do the best job that she can, but not because of any pressure on her, but because it's what she really wants to do. So she gets a
Mhm.
nice little character arc. Um,
Mhm.
and at the same time, the stop motion animation is great, and there's the Pokemon factor too, because I am a fan of the franchise. And it has a very nice final episode, which is little emotional, um, where she bonds not only with like a particular Pikachu, but also with its trainer who had like certain expectations for his Pikachu that weren't met, and she is able to teach him to like be more accepting, and um, they say like a touching little goodbye, and It's just very nice. Like it's a well told story, and at the same time, it is just cool looking and fun. So that's my
Right.
surprise pick.
Yep. Yep. All right. So only top two for each of us, and I think when we review the two, we can pretty much guess the number one.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, are we going to have the same top one?
It's possible.
So, if possible, but yeah. All right. So let me review the number second. My number second.
Yeah.
My number two show of 2023 is Skip and Loafer.
Boo! Boo!
Yes. Yes. So out of all the show that we watch this year, it this show it just my within my comfort zone, man. It just have such a blast watching it. It have a tender heart. It charming without like trying to be charm. It's the character just like just act, just be themselves. uh the show have also have a really like observant and expressive style to it. So like all the characters are really vibrant. They are conflicts, but they are offset by the optimism of like of the whole vibe. It's just a blast to see like Iwakura just going into the city, try her best, like screwing up, crying, and like do all the stuff, and like making friend. And we also have like Shima, who like who really nice on the outside, but we see eventually see him like having some issue of himself, and trying to overcome that. Like the whole thing is just like a fluffy uh comfort that like that I don't mind watching it over again. Skip and
Right.
Loafer number two.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure you know what number I put Skip and Loafer at since I booed putting it at number two.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good
Yep.
show. Um, but I've got something different at my number two, which I
All
guess I'll
right.
go on to.
Go for that.
Uh, it's Sousou no Frieren.
Yep.
So, uh, yeah, it's big.
It.
It's not big and
I.
bold. It's big and like quiet.
All right. I
It's
just want to say that it's something of like irregular that Wooper pick some fantasy show at like at his number two, because I don't think we see that for a while.
well, there hasn't been a good fantasy anime in a while,
I agree with you on
but
that.
Frieren is it.
Yep.
Um, it's very reserved. It's typically very thoughtful.
Yep.
The background art is unbelievable. The soundtrack is great. You got the
Hmm.
full orchestra, um, you know, busted out, and then sometimes you have like just a mandolin playing or just a little flute piece. Like all the compositions are really well selected to match the mood of whatever scene is unfolding.
Hmm.
Um, the the shifts back and forth between the past, like Frieden remembering the Himmel's party, I guess, the party
Hmm.
that she journeyed with to defeat the Demon King, and then the way that they segue between that and the present day, where she's journeying with Fern, Stark, and Sign.
Yep.
Really, really great. Really well directed in the way that it moves back and forth between the two time periods. Um, a lot of ordinary stuff going on, like them helping townspeople to polish statues or to plant flowers or to harvest carrots by raising them up out of the ground using magic. In the most recent episode, for example, episode 16. Um, and there are lots of scenes of like it being a character's birthday and picking out a present
Hmm.
or um, I don't know, like Frieden helping somebody out and only asking for a grimoire in exchange because it's just her hobby. Like the series just doesn't seem to be running on a particular clock. It takes its
Yeah.
time and it talks about whatever subjects it finds interesting and whatever fits the theme of memory or the passage of time or of
Yeah.
connections between people or between elves and people, between dwarves and people.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it's great. I mean, I have so many notes in front of my face about 16 episodes so far, with another 12 to come. In
Yeah.
fact, episode 17 actually aired yesterday, I believe. Haven't
Yeah.
seen it
Yeah.
yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It's just a lot of fun, and it does not get bogged down in magical systems or like techno babble too often, with the exception of that little demon arc that we talked about earlier, which is my
Mhm.
least favorite part, but hasn't been too big a distraction so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I agree.
every episode, I'm just pleasantly surprised because most fantasy anime belongs to a dreaded subgenre that shall not be named, and Frieren is, you know, uh, just like it's like a vaccine
Right.
that
That's
cures
a strong word.
it cures the illness that anime has been stricken with in recent years, fantasy anime in particular.
Mhm.
Frieren is the cure, I think, for that disease.
Wow. That's a big word. That's a big mission as well.
Water just went down the wrong pipe.
Because you make such a big statement,
Yeah, it's me choking on my own words. Too heavy.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Well, I can totally see why you put free reign as high as you did on your list. It's just an enjoyable show, and
Yeah.
it's like it provokes some of the feelings that you don't see very often in fantasy, in this medium, it's anime medium.
Yeah. It has a little bit of a mushishi
Yeah.
quality to it,
True. True.
but it's not quite that. It's a little bit, despite
Yeah.
taking place in a fantasy world, it's actually less fantastical than
Mhm.
mushishi.
That is true. Yeah.
So it doesn't have the same opportunity to hit, not exactly the same beats.
Yeah.
Um, but it does remind me of it from time to time, which is nice.
Yeah. All right. So to my number one, it could fall into two ways because I think you have like the two show on my top three. Uh,
Wait a m- Yeah, so I'll just straight up, I'll
yeah.
just tell you the top three that I predicted for you was, Skip and Loafer,
Yeah.
of course, Tengoku Daimakyo, and Spy and Family season two. You haven't said
Right.
Tengoku Daimakyo yet, have you?
I haven't said that yet,
Okay, well,
and there
obviously in
is
my mind that's clearly your number one, and for whatever reason you just don't have Spy and Family season two.
and there is another show as well that I still haven't mentioned is Mix season two.
Yes, that I expected to be on your list, and it hasn't been. But I
Right.
highly doubt that it's taking your number one spot here. It has to be Heavenly Delusion, right?
All right. So let me announce you my number one for 2023, and it's like you said, Tengoku Daimakyu, Heavenly Delusion.
Yeah,
Yep. So why Skip and Loafer is my comfort zone. Heavenly Delusion is, like you said as well, the most ambitious and fearless project. It features some of the elements that I really like, namely the post-apocalyptic world. It have a very cultured background to boot as well. It's blend the two different storyline into a surprising conclusion. It also have a very dynamic cast. But I think the best quality that I can think of is like it have uh, a lot of things on its hand. It introduced many big twists. It also doesn't try to explain itself. So at until now, I still like many element I still trying to decode it. Uh, like you said, it get weird from time to time, especially the last two episodes. It can really pull people off. but for me it's just like a small offset that you know that doesn't really degrade the whole package. I enjoy the whole package, and this is more than any other show. I really really looking forward for like the next season to come to like to wrap it all up.
Right.
So
Yeah,
so
I
yeah.
I went back and listened to some of our podcasts.
Yeah.
Um, and I was listening to the spring episode, which I think was Skip and Loafer, Tengoku Daimakyou, and Oshi no Ko, all three of which ended up appearing on your top 10 list, I see.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And I heard myself say something, which was that of all three shows, I would be most okay with Skip and Loafer not receiving a sequel.
Hmm.
Like Tengoku Daimakyo
Yeah.
really needs one, and Oshinoko is obviously set to have one. So I said, I
Yeah.
can't believe I said out loud the words, yeah, I mean, Skip, I would be most okay with Skip and Loafer not receiving a sequel. What was I? I must have been on cocaine or something. Like,
I can see the
uh,
reason why you said that though.
well,
So
it doesn't make any sense to me here in the present, 6 months
okay.
after I said it. But yeah, for sure, Tengoku Daimakyo is with that bombshell 13th episode. It's definitely it's setting itself up for
Yep.
more. I don't know if it's gonna get it. Um,
Yep. Seeing that the manga isn't still hasn't finished yet, and people had a reservation about about certain episodes of the show.
I mean, I do think the series had plenty of fans,
Yeah, well, me
and
included.
among
Yes.
among them would be the sort of people who want who are hungry for this sort of anime. That, as you said, like really doesn't explain itself, and is leaving breadcrumbs for you to pick up on, and is constructing like carefully constructing a world that with every passing episode bears less and less resemblance to our own. Like it's really building
Mhm.
something from scratch.
Yeah,
Um, and I think there are a lot of people who that sort of anime used to be made more often. I feel like in the 2000s, for example,
that's
stuff like
true.
Ergo Proxy, Technolize. Um, this show
Yeah,
is not exactly in that same vein, but it does like create a world unto itself, which is
mhm.
admirable.
Yeah,
So perhaps there will be more. I mean, it seems as though the show, needs it. Whether it'll
yeah,
get it, I don't know, but that'll be something to look forward to in
yeah,
in future years. Like whenever announcements are made, whenever there's like some big expo or convention or something, that'll be something to look out for.
true. Alrighty. All right. So your number one is.
It's Skip and Loafer.
Yep. Yep.
Skip and Loafer. I honestly, I think this may be the best high school anime ever made.
Oh wow.
I think
Big statement again.
I don't I don't know if it's too big a stretch to say that.
Mhm.
Honestly, I mean, maybe you can qualify it by saying the best high school slice in life ever made, or the best high school romance ever made, or something like that. But I mean, it could be the best high school anime ever.
Yep.
Um, it's just so good. And it's not just good because it's very kind-hearted.
Mhm.
Um, the character writing here is like completely unconcerned with fulfilling the expectations of anybody who like reads manga or watches anime.
Yep. Yep.
Um, the tropes that you would expect from a high school series, like certain classmates acting in particular ways. This show seems built to destroy,
Mhm.
because the best looking girl in their class is also like one of the most thoughtful and the friendliest, and like the gloomy nerd is secretly like longs for friendship and mentally prepares herself not to have it, by you know assuming things about people's characters without getting to know them. But
Mhm.
she doesn't hang on to those assumptions. Instead, she allows herself to be pulled into a friend group um, with some of the other main characters to wonderful results.
Mhm.
Um, the main character, despite being so handsome, and actually this when I put Yamada-kun to Deberu 999 on
Yep.
my list, that's a character. That's a show where everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's so hot," about the main character, and that's one of his primary character traits, I guess, is everybody treats him differently because he's so good looking. Skip and Loafer
Yep.
does the same thing, but it does it in a way that you would experience in a class full of real high schoolers. There's a
Mhm.
guy who's clearly the best looking, um, and he also is very personable and very friendly, and he has a little bit like a secret kind of a little bit of a dark side to him. But it does, when you mash all those tropes up in your mind and you put it through an anime filter, you come up with a very clear picture. And Shima is just not that guy. He's just his own person,
Yep.
who doesn't really have any equivalents that I can think of the dozens and dozens of high school anime that I've seen. He's just just like Mitsumi is her own person.
Yep.
Um, it just seems to me as though Skip and Loafer has crafted characters that are, you know, they're not built to like appeal to everyone and become part of the consciousness, the general lexicon of high school anime. People won't be referring to characters as being like Mitsumi or being like Shima in the future because they are so removed from the whole tradition of high school protagonists. They are just a different breed, as is
Yep.
the person who wrote the story, I feel. So it's just unique. It's completely unique. And it achieves that by being totally normal and ordinary and writing characters that you can really respect
Mhm.
um, for their humanity.
Yep.
And it is kind of a shame that that's such a rare thing, but at the very least, when it comes around, you can appreciate it. That's what I
Yep.
that's how I experienced Skip and Loafer, was just appreciation,
Yep.
that it came along when it did, when I'm getting older and appreciating anime less and less. I feel like Skip and Loafer was able to break through that change, I guess, in my life and my personality.
And it's also very enjoyable as well.
Yep.
So not only admiration, but also enjoyable, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, love it.
Yep.
Love
Yep.
it. Love the episode where Mitsumi goes back to her hometown, dude.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Just scenes of her like sitting in her living room, eating watermelon that her mom has sliced for her, listening to the sounds of the ocean.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yep.
my favorite.
I yeah, I did mention, I think, back in our podcast 6 months ago, the one that I think you listen back to. I say that, like I regarded Heavenly Delusion and Skip and Loafer as on the same level with me.
Yeah,
Like I enjoy them both, and I had a hard time ranking, between them even now. So yes, the fact that both of them, end up being my number one and two is, not that surprising.
yeah, I expected it. I had them 1, 2, but in a different order.
And how many we got in common? So we got Skim Loafer, Tengoku, Under Undead Girl, Mother Fast. Do
No,
you
I
have
didn't
that?
list that.
All right, Frieren.
Yeah, it's just
That's it.
three: Skip and
Three,
Loafer, Tengoku, and Frieren.
3 out of 10. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
man, it was that kind of year for me. I
All right.
didn't watch a lot of anime. I got two
Nah.
shorts on there.
Yep.
I got Pokemon Concierge on there. I was just unpredictable this year.
Yep. All righty.
Bit of a weird year. But 2024
I
coming
think you're
up,
doing well. Yep.
and
It's a
there's
lot more
there's a
stuff to
lot
watch.
of cool looking anime on the horizon. maybe not in winter, but and maybe not all like TV anime, but
Yep.
there's some cool stuff coming.
Yeah, that's true. And be sure to check in 2 week time because we are going to do another of our favorite first impression.
Right. Yeah, for the winter season.
Yeah,
We got Dungeon Meshi and 9 other shows.
yeah. That's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah. But who knows? We may get surprised. There may be some stuff to look
And
forward to.
yeah, and that's also a wrap for 2023.
Yeah. We're out. We're done.
Enjoy the new year, guys, and yeah, looking forward to the what this year have to offer in terms